Van Jones, if you're thinking, I think I know that name. Van Jones is a American. Well, was a very much politically active. He is now kind of more of a pundit. He's on CNN. He is frequently referred to as a communist. If he's not communist, he's way radically left, but he's a black Democrat commentator on CNN, and he made some comments after the State of the Union that I want to ask Matt the Wonderful to play. This is a clip from him. In fact, it was a clip 5. Again, yeah, clip 5, and this is from Van Jones on CNN. We'll talk about it after you hear what he has to say.
I think the last 24 hours have been a big wake-up call for Democrats. That's what I think. The Iowa caucus was a debacle, and this was a very strong speech, and it shows what he thinks he needs to do to win. And I think we have to be very clinical about this. I think you're exactly right. He knows he's got to give a lot of red meat to his base, and he gave it. From religious liberty, abortion, all of it, the military, etc. But he's doing something else. And it has to do with how he's going to manage race in this thing. And there seems to be a trade-off between the Latinos and the African Americans. That's what you see. A warning to Democrats. What he was saying to African Americans can be effective. You may not like it, but he mentioned HBCUs. Our black colleges have been struggling for a long time. A bunch of them have gone under. He threw a lifeline to them in real life, in his budget. He talked about that. He talked about the criminal justice reform. He talked about opportunity zones.
This school choice,
he talked about
school choice. Issue. Yeah.
Listen, wake up.
Okay, I want to say a couple things about that. Van Jones, cheering section entirely for the radical left. But I love that Van Jones acknowledged that on CNN. And I want to just encourage you to think about a couple things. One is that in Van Jones' world, he's a left-winger. All he can think about is identity politics. So he listened to that speech, and President Trump did, in that speech, talk about the sanctuary cities and that they're a bad thing. He was very denouncing of them. Van Jones hears that, and so he's saying President Trump is choosing black American voters over Hispanic American voters. That's his take on it, because in the limited mindset of the leftist, everything is identity politics. So if President Trump criticized sanctuary cities, but he praised policies, the opportunity zones, the criminal justice reform, the school choice and other issues that Van Jones is saying resonated with black voters, This is getting under Van Jones' skin, but I want to say it's not, contrary to how Van Jones sees things, it's not about picking black voters over Hispanic voters. He did in a clip, I couldn't include everything, but Van Jones said, and everyone knows that, there's nothing wrong with sanctuary cities, and this will really hurt him with Hispanic voters because he criticized sanctuary cities, and there's nothing wrong with it. Anyway, everything's fine. I mean, he tried to say that Trump was going to alienate Hispanic voters. I'm going to tell you, when you take a non-racial, non-identity politics approach and you simply are trying to do what is right for the country, you're going to condemn lawless sanctuary cities because they are lawless. Their lawlessness hurts everyone. The crimes committed by people who stay in our country illegally because they're protected by Democrats in various sanctuary places hurt everyone. President Trump isn't choosing blacks over Hispanics. He's choosing law and order for everyone. He's also choosing school choice, something that many black parents want, something that the Democrat Party in Washington cannot support because the teachers' unions have a death grip hold on the finances of the Democrat Party. And the teachers' unions hate school choice. They don't care. The teachers' unions are not dedicated to the quality of education for the children. They're dedicated to their own political power. They won't go with school choice, even though study after study shows children thrive in areas where we have put school choice in place. And really, school choice is parental choice. It's putting power back in the hands of the parents instead of the legislature to mandate where their kid goes to school. It is not President Trump choosing one ethnicity over another. He's choosing law and order, the idea of America. We don't have areas, we don't follow laws, and he's choosing to be, as he talked about in various ways in his speech, he's talking about we have an obligation as a country to make America, to provide the most opportunity we can for most Americans to join the American dream. So therefore, we have to have policies that bring jobs back to America. We have to have policies that enable the creation of businesses. We have to have policies that enable young children to get free of their zip code mandated schools that aren't doing a good job educating those children. This is President Trump. He's not choosing race over race. He's choosing to try to make the American dream possible and available to more Americans. A very presidential thing indeed. Even the criminal justice reform, which is really bothering the leftists because they think they are just, the idea has been talked about for decades and President Obama would never do it. But those stories, those faces, the commercials you've seen of real Americans who may have been in prison longer than they should have been for crimes that maybe they weren't really a danger to society. Maybe the main problem was to be cured of the addiction that got them into the criminal life. All sorts of ways to try to find a path to get more people on the American dream. This is driving the left nuts. And Van Jones is completely wrong when he tries to say that what Trump was doing was choosing black voters over Hispanic voters. He's trying to make the American dream available for everyone in this precious country.